what does Endangered Species Day mean? The Endangered Species Day is an annual day of celebration for the public to learn about endangered and threatened species and what we can all do to help them. So, la journée l'espèce en danger, il y a la journée annuelle qui nous célèbre l'espèce en danger et nous profiter pour nous éduquer public, membres public, pour l'espèce en danger, spécialement l'espèce en danger qui nous accessible et qui nous a fait pour. Yeah. So, endangered species in Seychelles. We have various endangered species in Seychelles, and I have put a few pictures of some endangered species in Seychelles. And we have coco de mer, which is endangered. We have sea turtles, which are endangered. And next to the sea turtle, we have a nurse shark. To the bottom left, we have a magpie robin. And for our presentation today, for our Dugong classroom, we have a dugong, a sea cow. Okay, so what makes a species endangered is mainly to do with its population reduction rate. So if a species population is declining very rapidly, it becomes endangered when the population falls below 70%, all the way down to 50%. And this decline is measured over 10 years or 3 generations of the species, whichever one is longer. Okay? So, l'espèce en danger, nous considérons en danger les temps son population est réduite si en bas, qui tombe entre 50% à 70% pendant 10 ans, ou soit 3 générations. Et nous mesurons soit 10 ans, soit 3 générations, ou soit ça qui vient premier. OK? Après, nous avons geographic range. Geographic range is when we have local extirpations, which is a local extinction, basically. So a species that used to exist in one place no longer exists in one place. So we call that extirpation. And that is a reduction in its geographic range, which means a species is endangered. So en créole, nous avons dit l'espèce, il commence à disparaître de certains endroits. OK? So, dans un endroit qui n'a pas été oiseau, n'est plus oiseau, et ça fait rien danger à cause d'un endroit qui est occupé, il vient petit petit. Après, troisième, dans la population size, a species is considered endangered when there are fewer than 2,500 mature individuals. Okay? So when a species population declines by at least 20% within 5 years or 2 generations, it is also classified as endangered. Encore, on peut dire que l'espèce est considérée en danger si on a moins de 2500 individus qui maturent. OK? L'étant, la population de l'espèce est réduite par 20% pendant 5 ans, ou soit des générations. OK? Après, dans la population size, ça est assez commun. A species is classified as endangered when its population is restricted to less than 250 mature individuals. OK? So, population descend plus bas que 250 individus, nous considérons l'espèce en danger. Après, une probability of extinction. So, probability of extinction is when there are at least less than 20% within 20 years or 5 generations in the wild. Okay? And they are prone to extinction when they are no longer viable to reproduce. There is not enough of the species to reproduce, and therefore they are functionally extinct. Après, on a human impacts, comme il y a human impacts, nous présentons plastique, urbanisation, changement climat, tout ça, là, il y a human impacts qui ont un effet pour faire une species endangered. Okay, the start of our presentation today is the Dugong, and we'll be talking more and focusing more on Dugong or sea cows. And the Dugong is currently vulnerable on the IUCN Red List, and its world population is below 100,000 individuals. So they primarily feed on seagrass, et comme on créatif qui vivent dans la mer, ils ne sont pas trop intéressés avec humains. So they are very elusive and they would shy away from humans at any opportunity they get. Genetically, they are more closely related to elephants than whales or other marine mammals such as dolphins, etc. And they are the only herbivorous marine mammal known today. So as you can see, the size of a dugong next to a human, they're quite big, and they can be up to 2.7 meters on average. So the dugong is also able to swim at 22 kilometers, from 18 to 22 kilometers, or up to 1 kilometer. In terms of speed, that's like the speed of a mini mahi with a 25 cc engine. And they also take 18 years to reach sexual maturity, which is another reason why they are endangered. They take so long to reproduce, and if we hunt them or their population reduces quickly, they will become extinct. Lastly, they have also inspired mermaid tails in Seychelles. I'm sure you have all heard of some few mermaid tails around our islands, especially by foreigners. So the dugong, its order is Sirenia, similar to manatees. However, they differ from the family order, whereas dugongs are Dugongidae, and the manatees are Trichachidae. Okay, but how both dugongs and manatees are referred to as sea cows in text.
Okay.
When we go down to the genus levels, we call manatees Trichicus and dugongs. On average, dugongs can live for 70 years as compared to manatees, and their size ranges from 2.4 to 3 meters, as opposed to manatees who can grow up to 4 meters. On average, dugongs can weigh up to 250 to 500 kilograms, whereas manatees can weigh up to 600 kilograms. So dugongs can do something which we call stand on their tail to support their head above water, but I would take that with a pinch of salt. We use the word stand mainly as supporting themselves to support their head above water. Like I said before, their reproduction, so gestation period lasts over a year for dugongs, somewhere between 13 to 15 months. And that also makes them vulnerable, which is why they are an endangered species. They are almost always found in pairs based on sightings, and they can hold their breath for over 10 minutes. So we have a quiz. How can they participate in the quiz?
You put their hands up.
They can put their hands up. Okay. So where can dugongs be found today? If we can put your hands up for A, or you can type in the, can they type in the comments?
You can type in the chat.
Where can we see the chat?
You'll come up.
It'll come up. Okay, so if you guys have any answers, I would like to see it in the chat. Whoever says A, not in Seychelles, B, Inner Islands, or C, Bird Islands / Ilovash, or D, Aldabra Group. So where do you think dugongs can be found?
Everyone is saying B.
Okay, Tanu. Tanu lah. Okay, D. Aldabra.
Okay, merci.
Yeah.
Très bien. OK, tu donnes la réponse bien.
So,
OK, toujours mon Aldabra. Félicitations. La réponse correcte, c'est Aldabra. OK, l'histoire du Dugong. History of dugongs in Seychelles. It is listed as vulnerable to extinction, as I've said before. And historically in Seychelles, dugongs occurred in large numbers, mainly around Île aux Vaches or Bird Island. As we know, they were hunted to extinction or extirpation in that area by seafarers a long time ago, when we had people still coming over from abroad to colonize the islands. Yes, like I said, it was commonly cited at Île aux Vaches, now referred to as Bird Island. Dugongs were heavily exploited to extinction for their meat and oil. And in 2001, they made a comeback as a species. So they were spotted as early as 1972, according to our records on Aldabra. However, we thought they were extinct since 2001, but now we know they are there because we are doing research. So, dugong sightings on Aldabra from 2010 to 2018 include opportunistic sightings recorded by staff either on shore or both at all locations around the atoll. We've had 42 sightings, and the mean group size is 1.02 individuals, ranging from 1 to 2 group size, 2 individuals as group size. Apart from adults, dugong calves has also been sighted, suggesting that Aldabra is a breeding and or nursery site for this species. So, en tout nous avons 40 individus et group size et entre NAD. À part qui a dire nous si waban ti dugong, saban calve. Qui si c'est Aldabra y en a droit pour se reproduire. Now, I'm going to introduce you to the Dugong project, which is an ongoing project we are doing right now. So this is the first of its kind systematic project on Aldabra, where we are using UAVs or unmanned aerial vehicles, otherwise known as drones, to sample the lagoon. This has never been done before. So the project title is The Last Dugongs in Seychelles, a baseline population assessment of Dugong at Aldabra Atoll. And this is a 2-year project funded by the Blue Grants 5 by SECAT, our main donor. It is the first systematic Dugong project in Seychelles, as I've said before. Our aim for the project is to create a solid base of knowledge on Aldabra's Dugong population through the first comprehensive UAV-based area survey of Dugongs at Aldabra. So, par exemple, il premier poser à Aldabra qui nous peut servir drone pour nous prendre l'échantillon Dugong dans la lagon. Nous faisons ça primordialement avec caméra que nous portons dans les airs avec un drone. Okay, so far we have purchased the necessary equipment to undertake the aerial surveys, which is the drone, as you can see in the picture behind the tortoise, sorry. The staff involved for flying the drone has been trained in collaborations with experts in the field and abroad. We have conducted at least 3 lagoon-wide surveys, and our results have been published on Instagram for our first analysis. And we have begun the image analysis. So far, we are using a software which IDs dugongs by the observer, me as the Dugong project officer, and it also uses AI, or otherwise known as artificial intelligence, to ID dugongs. And we have also communicated the project through social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and others. Okay, so this is our team on Aldabra, and as you can see, we're happy. We have a drone and we are sampling dugongs in the lagoon. As you can see, the drone in front of them, how big it is as compared to a human. So the drone is 125 centimeters wide. If I put that in meters, it is 1.25 meters wide, and it is 68 centimeters tall. So our flight plan for the lagoon, our flight plan for the Aldabra Lagoon has two main takeoff sites. We are currently using 3 right now. And we have transect lines at 1 kilometer distance, and we are flying the drone at 246 meters. Overall, it takes us 17 flights to cover the whole lagoon over 4 days if we have good weather. And this is to establish and undertake aerial surveys of the dugongs in Aldabra's lagoon. So our flight plan basically goes like, where is that one mission?
Next slide. Yeah.
So what happens is the drone takes off for the west side of the lagoon. The drone takes off and then does lines over 6 flights. The illustration, the animation does not show landings and takeoffs, but it takes roughly 6 flights to cover the west side of the lagoon. And for the east side of the lagoon, it takes roughly 11 flights where our drone samples for dugongs. To sample the lagoon, we need good weather, and we do it from sunrise, first light, which is roughly around 7:10 in the morning, up until 10 a.m. when the sun gets too high to sample. And we stop from there on, and we continue at 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. in the afternoon when the sun comes low. This is primarily because of glare over the lagoon. So because of glare, we cannot see in the water very well. All right, and we are also doing it at high tide right now, when we think is our best chance to see dugongs. Otherwise, they might be outside of the lagoon on the outside reefs, mainly around this area and this area under the lagoon. So the second objective for this project is to build institutional and national capacity for the use of UAVs in animal survey methods and monitoring. So, nous pouvons servir drone pour nous augmenter capacité nationale avec l'institution pareil SAIF pour nous faire l'observation wildlife dans nos pays, spécialement là-bas. Okay, Dugong dans la région, or dugongs in the region, they are mainly found in Comoros, or Comor, Mayotte, and East Africa, and also Aldabra, or Seychelles. This project will also contribute to regional efforts to determine dugong habitats and migratory routes of dugongs populations. So our project will contribute to the data we already have in the region about dugongs. And since we have not published any actual data or statistics so far on dugongs on Aldabra, this will help strengthen MOUs and such for the region, such that we can do further research in the future, maybe to check population connectivity in terms of DNA, and to bring in expertise from abroad, or we in Seychelles, we contribute our expertise to all these countries and help them to sample their dugongs or how to protect them better. So the results so far, we have seen around 16 dugongs in the lagoon. I will show you some pictures, but these are not all of the pictures. We could not fit all the pictures in the presentation, unfortunately. However, I will show you some of the dugongs we have. What we see in the picture right now is, we can say 2 groups of 3 or 1 group of 6. It doesn't matter. And in the two groups, we can see right now, we assume there are 2 adults and 1 juvenile. So the 2 adults could be 1 female and 1 male, but the juvenile, we cannot assume its gender, because we know dugongs like to travel in pairs or families. This picture was taken at a flight height of 246 meters, which is the flight we are sampling for dugongs in the lagoon. Instead of flight height, we can say altitude, yeah? So another sighting of dugongs we have during our surveys is 1 adult and a juvenile. We still assume this adult to be female, because we know usually female mammals take care of their youngs. This picture was also taken at the flight height of 246 meters, and this was around 9 or 8 in the morning. As you can see, the glare starts to pick up on the right. So why are we doing this project? Aldabra is the only known location of dugongs in Seychelles. Okay, we have had sightings around Cosmoledo. Well, it's been communicated to us. We've heard stories, and we know there were dugongs at Belle Island in Ilovache. However, today we know Aldabra is the only place where they get sighted more frequently than others. And we also have very little information on the population status, distribution, and ecology of Aldabra, or Aldabra's dugong. And it is crucial for developing most appropriate and informed management strategy for their protection. Okay, so nous besoin prendre l'échantillon, le dugong, ça nous besoin faire recherche le dugong dans la lagon pour nous connaître qui ban mesures nous apprendre pour plus bien protéger les autres, ou soit qui meilleur pour manager Aldabra pour nous faire si dugong il reste là-bas, otherwise not go extinct. Also, who can tell me what species we have in the picture? Below, we can use the chat feature to type what species we are seeing. Wow, very specific.
So someone is saying eagle rays. Anybody else have any other guesses on what species this is? Manta?
Manta ray.
Manta ray? Okay, Colin, tell us what species that is.
Okay, so we know it's a ray, but I can't tell you if it's a manta or eagle ray. But because this is in the lagoon and it's in the shallows, we can probably assume it's an eagle ray, all right? Because we see mantas mostly out on the outer reef where they are in deep waters as they grow very large. However, these could be juvenile mantas, but as I said before, it's not sure, all right? So using the drone, while we sample the lagoon, we can also opportunistically sample or use this data for other species, such as rays, turtles, and other marine mammals that we can see. Yeah, so this picture was taken at 104 meters. Yeah. We can also see sharks in our data while we sample for dugongs. In this picture, I have 3 sharks. They are probably juvenile sharks, and they are probably black-tip sharks. And next to them are the symbiotic little fishes that swim around with them. They seek protection. This picture was taken at 186 meters. We can also use the data for turtle sampling, as we see them very commonly in the lagoon while we are sampling for dugongs. And this picture was taken at 183 meters. So for the future of dugongs in Seychelles, we hope by taking this first step, Seychelles is finally gaining knowledge on the quantitative information of the remaining dugong population in Seychelles, and also to strengthen the governance of dugong population to ensure they do not get driven to extinction again. And we hope this project can be a stepping stone to research or other components such as migratory movement, like I said before, between Comoros, East Africa, and Mayotte, and their role in the Western Indian Ocean. For now, Aldabra remains as a refuge to many more endangered species alongside dugongs. And until now, we don't know the connectivity between dugongs and other marine species, such as sea turtles, because we also know sea turtles feed on seagrass. We don't know what's their relationship or such in Aldabra especially. I have another quiz, and this is the last two quizzes we have for this afternoon. So can anyone tell me where can a statue of dugongs be found in Victoria using the chat feature? Can you see the chat?
B.
So someone said C. Can they see the chat? Yeah. Okay, I lied.
Everyone is saying B. What's the right answer?
Everyone knows the right answer.
Just click on C.
Well,
Not everyone has given us an answer. What did I do now?
you went. 1 second, guys. So, I mean, I think it's C. So I'm just gonna click C. Oh.
Wrong
shoot.
answer. Mara, you didn't know?
I did not know. I thought it was at the bus station. I thought I saw a dugong there yesterday.
Not other schools are answering, huh? You
No,
don't have an
it's-
answer from us, Balo?
Okay, let's pick the right answer then.
Okay, so everyone gets the correct answer, which is B, Seychelles Natural History Museum. The next question is a bit more specific. In which school can the dugong mural be found? Carol, did you answer for the previous? No.
Yes, that's the previous one.
Okay, Carol. Might be the wrong answer. So do we have any guesses from any school as to where the dugong mural in the picture can be found?
Oh, no one knows this one. Oh, there's
A.
some there.
What
A.
said A?
Someone said A.
What?
That is a very good guess.
Not everyone's gonna say A.
It could be Perseverance, huh? I've seen they have nice murals there. Or it could be Govano Secondary School. So,
Yeah.
I think it's international school.
so Veronique thinks it's an international school. Let's try it.
You have to click it. Yeah.
Oh man.
Veronique, wrong answer. So someone said, wow, Asparo Primary. Okay, so everyone gets the correct answer. It is in fact Asparo Primary. And you can see this when you go inside the school and you're walking under the corridor on the walls at the primary 2 block. So we've come to the end of our presentation, and I hope you've all enjoyed our little presentation. We'll have time for a few questions. If any of you have any questions on the Dugong projects or dugongs in Seychelles.
Okay, guys, so the way that we need to answer questions is you can put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand and then we'll go through the hands raised. So feel free to raise your hands, and Calvin's here to answer any questions you might have on Seychelles last Dugong.
So if you raise your hand, I'm using the hand feature in Zoom, and we'll let you ask your question. Can you lower this a bit?
That's as well.
Maybe some people are raising their hand.
You'll see it.
Okay.
You see it. Anyone has some questions? Or you want to end the presentation early? You don't want to learn about the dugongs? All right.
You have a question.
Please, Miss Allingham, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
As one? Hello. So, around dugongs are there right now in Seychelles?
Pardon, can you repeat that? How many?
Okay. So, how many dugongs are there right now in Seychelles?
So right now we've seen about 16 dugongs. However, we haven't done our complete analysis for the whole lagoon, and there are potentially more dugongs in the lagoon. But since we haven't done any analysis yet, we cannot say for sure that there are more than 16. But our primary analysis of our images right now say there are 16 dugongs. Thank you. Do we have any more questions? Unmute them.
Yes, we do. We've got another student who wants to ask a question.
Okay.
Where else could you find dugongs in the world?
All right, very good question. So in the world, we can find dugongs in India, Australia, and China. In the region, Zimbabwe, East Africa mainly, around Tanzania area, and Mayotte and Comoros. Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you. We've also got one more question, I'm sorry.
Which other islands we can find dugongs in Seychelles?
So we used to find dugongs around Bird Island, otherwise known as Île Vache. There has been some sightings around Cosmolido. However, they are not documented in these areas, so we don't know for sure how many there are, or if they are there permanently. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we've got so many questions. We've got another.
What do you find most interesting about the dugong?
What can we find most interesting about the dugongs? What I find most interesting about the dugongs. They are very docile animals and they are very gentle. They can be easily hunted to extinction, and right now they just feed on seagrass, and they are not trying to prey on any other animals or humans. So that makes them fascinating. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, I think there's some questions from Carol. Sorry, I can't see what school this is, but please feel free to unmute and ask a question.
Sir, I'd like to know, what is the biggest threat to the dugong population?
Okay, so right now, the biggest threat to the dugong population is human impacts from climate change, overfishing, and especially the threat of fads, where they can be entangled in nets and stray fishing gear. Also, the quick movements of seagrass. If we do not protect seagrass or promote their growth, we will eventually run out of dugongs because that's where they feed. So to summarize that, destruction of their habitat is one of the most prevalent dangers to dugongs or threats to dugongs. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you. Thank you. Next question. What are dugongs? How do people search for dugong as meat for consumption?
So in Australia, where we have Aboriginals, they are the only known indigenous people that can actually eat dugongs. And because they eat dugongs for millennia, years and years, and we consider as part of their diet, they are allowed to eat dugongs legally. However, the way they feed on dugongs is through subsistence, which means that they are not fishing dugongs for commerce. They are only fishing dugongs to feed themselves and their family. That's all I know. Who can eat dugongs? Anywhere else in the world, or maybe some places I didn't mention, it's illegal to eat and fish for dugongs. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question from anybody? Prana Secondary School, I see you turned your video on. Yes, there's a hand raised. You want to unmute yourself and ask a question?
Do you plan to tag dugongs?
That is a very good question. So one of the follow-ups of our project is to actually tag the dugongs. However, before we can do any other projects related to dugongs, we need to see if we have a viable population size, because tagging or getting close to them might stress them, and eventually they might die of stress or they might migrate to other areas. So the baseline population assessment can actually give us an indication if we can tag them, and by tagging them, like I said before, might stress them to death. So we are able to actually tag a few of their members and see where they go, how long they spend in the lagoon, or where they actually hang out in the lagoon per se, or where they feed the most and such behaviors, or where they reproduce and such. We can actually gather more data when we tag them as to their whereabouts.
Within the Western Indian Ocean.
Within, yeah, the Western Indian Ocean. Yeah, we can also see if they migrate from Aldabra to nearby islands or nearby countries such as Comoros, Mayotte, and East Africa, like I said before. Thank you for your question.
Maybe Oswald Secondary School, you had your hand up first, and then we can go to independent school. Please unmute yourself.
Oswald, we cannot hear you.
Probably just muted them. If you can't speak now, you can also put it in the chat and we'll cover it. Right. Okay.
You can also type your question now in the.
I'm seeing some now.
They do have questions.
Oswald. Okay, wait.
We have a lot of questions.
Ooh, okay.
Let's take Oswald first.
So,
yeah.
Do you accept any interns in our project? I think currently we're not looking for interns, but you can send us an email on info@sif.sc and or even on Facebook or Instagram, and we can get back to you. And then next question is, can I get a clear picture of dugongs?
We have pictures of dugongs on our social media and SECAT social media. you can get a clear picture of dugongs from there if you use Instagram or Facebook and you follow SECAT and SIF.
There's some in here as well in the presentation.
Yeah.
Unless
Those are all Aldabra from Aldabra.
Yeah, those are all from Aldabra. But we do have a lot of pictures that we posted over the last year to promote the project, and you can see some there. Why is it called a sea cow?
Well, just like terrestrial cows, they feed on grass, sea grasses, and they don't move like terrestrial cows. They rather grunt and chirp. But the behavior of feeding on the grass probably gave them the name sea cow.
And then also I was asking, what are Dugong's ancestors?
So the closest genetically related species to dugongs are elephants. However, in the marine space, they are mostly related to manatees in terms of taxonomy. Yeah.
The next question is, can you organize a trip to Aldabra, or can we organize a trip to Aldabra? We actually already organized a yearly trip to Aldabra for school kids. It's called the Aldabra Eco School Trip, and we just had one last month. And we had kids from all over the schools, different schools around Maya and Prane. I think Prane also came, and they had a couple of days on Aldabra, and they visited the atoll and had a chance to interact with our team. So this is something we do yearly, and the way that you can take part in it is if you do really well in your eco school program with Miss Lindina and probably your eco school leader at your school. So if you actually put in a lot of work to your eco school, you also will get a chance to go to Aldabra. How many species of dugongs are there?
We had the Stellar sea cows in the Stellar Sea, which went extinct in the late 1900s, and they were mainly hunted by seafarers at the time. Because they are defenseless as animals, they cannot actually defend themselves or run away quick enough to hide from potential hunters. So what happened is they were hunted to extinction for their meat and oil, just as they were hunted on Île aux Vaches or Bird Island, as I said before. Yeah.
And then there's another question that's kind of similar to before, to why don't we put tags on them to record them?
So the tagging, like I said before, will come in probably in the next project, if the population is viable for such a project.
Okay, and then I also see that Independent School still has their hand up. Do you want to ask a question via chat, or do you want to unmute yourself and ask one? We can't hear you. Maybe you can try writing in the chat, because we don't seem to be able to hear you right now. Anyone else have questions? I know you are probably waiting to take the bus from school now. So let us know, please, if you have any further questions. If not, we can end a little early.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Allingham, thank you for your questions.
Okay, go back up. What would be the punishment or the fine if you catch a dugong?
Oh, do you know?
It's illegal.
Well, most likely you would have to go to jail. So I mean, it depends on the country's law. So, but yeah, you would most likely be accused of poaching. So like with any other illegal animal that is poached, like turtles or tortoises, I believe that there is a prison sentence here in the Seychelles.
There is an endangered species act, no?
Yes.
Yeah, so the thing is, because dugongs have not been in our population for a while now, this project is meant to inform its protection and its management. So based on what we find, we will also provide this information to the government of Seychelles to have a more rounded, informed protection of the dugongs within Seychelles.
So next question was, have there been close encounters with dugongs before?
Well, yes.
Well, yeah, like Colvin mentioned, they were quite abundant in the island, and that's when they were fished to extinction. And now on Aldabra, yeah, we have seen them quite closely. They're really amazing creatures, and they're very mystical because you don't really see them anywhere else. But yeah, we have had close encounters on Aldabra itself.
Our last question from international school is, what and how much do they eat?
They can eat several hundred kilos of seagrass per day.
They're quite big.
Yeah, they can spend up to from 4 to 6 hours just grazing on seagrass per day. That is their primary occupation.
They live, they eat.
Yeah, they just feed.
A question from Oswald is, have dugongs ever come on the coast of Mai?
Not that we know of, but they were probably there a long time ago. Yeah, just like we had crocodiles or caimans nearby our islands, we probably had dugongs at some point in time. But because we cannot prove that, or it's not documented yet, I cannot say for sure they were there. Thank you.
The question from Independence School was, is there any place in the world where they artificially breed dugong so that they can raise the amount of species, so like a dugong farm for population increase?
We don't know if population dugongs can survive in captivity. I would assume most likely not.
They're migratory animals.
They are migratory animals, yes. They like to live in like lagoon sort of habitats. I cannot say for sure whether we have a program to put their population back up through artificial insemination, like you said.
So more questions from international school is, are there more adults or kids on Aldabra? And I think you mean dugong. So are there more adult or calves?
We've had at least 3 to 4 sightings of an adult with calves. So I'd say there are as many calves as there are adults, but there are definitely more adults, maybe in a ratio of 50-50 to calves. We have seen cows with at least 2 adults, and on some occasions we see cows with 1 adult. Yes.
Next question is there a way for us to bring dugongs back to Mai? Oh no, I skipped one, sorry. Are there any predators to dugongs? My bad.
So dugongs are predated upon by sharks, crocodiles, and other large marine predators.
And then is there a way for us to bring dugongs back to Mai or the inner islands?
So right now, dugongs are protected. We would not necessarily take them away from their natural habitat to bring them anywhere else. However, I don't think Mai is a suitable environment for dugongs because we have a lot of ships, and that creates a lot of noise, a lot of traffic. And even though we would be able to bring dugongs to Mai, they would not stay here very longer because it's a busy environment, much too busy for them. They like to be in quiet seagrass meadows where they can feed peacefully.
And then I guess that kind of brings us to the next question, which is, do you guys do captive breeding? And no, SIF does not do any captive breeding across any of its sites with any of its species. So we mostly just let things take the natural course that, that should happen. We don't intervene, but we do have a high level of protection at the Valley de Mai and on Aldabra. So that way, like Robin was saying earlier, species like dugongs or turtles or, Aldabra giant tortoises, they have a safe haven on Aldabra where they can roam freely and live wildly.
That was the last of our questions.
Yeah. So I think we can end it off now. Just wanted to say thank you so much to Colvin for a great presentation, and for Leonie for her assistance in answering the questions. And then thank you guys for coming and joining us for another virtual classroom. If we have any ideas of any classrooms that we have, in the future that you want us to cover, let us know. Have your teacher contact us. Thank you so much. And we are recording the presentation, so it'll be up on YouTube on Monday. So if your friends were sick today and they didn't get to come and see the Dugong classroom, it'll be on YouTube for you to watch next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. You can put your video on. We can wave bye.